You have a change of heart, wanna make a brand new start. You've been living on the edge with forever as a pledge. No more giving it up, turning me loose, setting us free. Baby, keeping it real, cause we got what it takes for sure. There's no turning back anymore. Can you see it's all a game? Life goes on all the same. If at first you don't succeed, all you've got is all you need. If you believe this.
Hey, Rise and Thrivers. Welcome to episode 102. It is Monday, April 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are Rise and Thrive together. Just in case you were new to the show or you need a reminder, we are Rise and Thrive together, a vibrant community out to educate and empower and equip you to have the results that you want in your life through real talk and taking real action. Super stoked to be back tonight. I was not here last week, and I feel like I haven't seen my sister for so long. So, hey, sis, what's going on?
Hey, Rise and Thrivers. Welcome. Um, I went to the dentist today, like I told you,
Mm,
and had a filling. So I'm glad I'm not drinking anything because it might run out the side of my mouth. You know how that goes, and then I'll be drooling all on the show. But I'm good. Outside of that, I'm good. How are you?
I am good.
How was your
Like you,
birthday? You
my
had a birthday.
birthday. Whoop, whoop, birthday. It was nice and quiet. It was Friday, April 11th. Did some, good quiet time with Josh and I. Had Lexi off with my in laws. We just hit the beach quietly at night and watched the sunset. And then was busy working for the weekend. I had a birthday party that I got to facilitate and had a huge what Rise and Thrive does together is a huge event. So I threw myself a birthday fundraiser. I raised $1,000 for the
Nice.
nonprofit that I volunteer at. I'm working with kids and women who are homeless and dealing with homelessness, and also from dealing with situations that they just need support in. So
Mm,
super stoked. I will share some pictures next time around. So yeah, it was a busy but great birthday. If I'm going to do it upright, I gave some quality time and then some time with some of my favorite people in the world because you can't do it alone. So sis, you go and take all those classes. You've been to Zumba, so that community tends to be huge and
mm.
really showed up, and they did. I had 10 instructors, including myself, and we filled that up
Wow.
with yeah, we had over like 70 people there, so it was beautiful.
That's so awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
something
you.
amazing. So, we have
Woo-hoo.
been talking, I want to say all month long since it's the 14th, and tomorrow's tax day. So, how appropriate that our guest is on tonight. And I don't believe we planned it that way. I think it was just based on availability. And so, how perfect is it? But for the month of April, we are talking about can we have it all? And I'm so excited because the first line, if I slur, don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying. And the first line in our guest bio is, y'all ready for this? I'm ready to jump in because I really want to hear what she's got to say. So, we are talking about Can You Have It All? And our guest is Kate Phillips. Now, we go from Can You Have It All to from losing it all as a real estate investor during the Great Recession to doubling her money in the stock market during COVID. Kate Phillips has experienced financial highs and lows and knows that a relationship with money can get complicated. Girl, ain't that the truth? Now she's on a mission to change the way we think about wealth because, like any key relationship in life, your connection to money needs attention, healing, and trust. Kate is the founder of Total Wealth, a best selling author, coach, and host of the Total Wealth Show on YouTube. Through programs like Wealth School for Women and Rewrite My Money Story, Kate blends personal growth with the financial education to help others create lasting transformation and wealth. And later on in the show, our guest did not come empty handed. She has a gift, and we will talk about that. But welcome, 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 Kate Phillips. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm great. As long as you don't ask me about taxes, I'm great.
She's like, let's put that disclaimer out there. No tax questions
I
tonight,
am not
okay?
a tax
Hold those.
expert.
That is so amazing. So, you know, I really want to dive in. I do, because we are talking about can you have it all? And you said from losing it all. As a real
Yep.
estate investor, we want to hear a little bit about that. Because I know you've got some nuggets to give us, but I want to hear about that.
Yeah. That totally relates to the topic here. Yeah, that was during what most people call the Great Recession. I call it the not so great recession. It was really not so great for me because I own several rental houses. I bought my dream house in 2007. I moved away from Seattle, which I was a realtor at the time. So I basically left my career, bought my dream house, like, ooh, I'm going to coach women. I started doing workshops. I'm just going to coach women about money. And then about 3 years later, I became the wealth coach who lost it all, including my own home. I went through a foreclosure. Things got really, really messy because, when you're buying homes with mortgages and you've got some leverage there, and every single property that I owned dropped 45% in value. So I was underwater on most of them. I owed more than what they were worth. Uh, my tenants were having a hard time paying their rent, so I was playing eeny meeny miny mo, which mortgage shall I pay this month? And then my father had a huge medical emergency. Long story short, I ended up becoming his caregiver, moved him in with me, had my own stress induced health challenges myself. And, it all just kind of collapsed. It took about 18 months with the property values collapsing. I went from a woman with multiple single woman, like, woohoo, multiple six figures in net worth to like in foreclosure with 5 figures of debt that I didn't know
Wow.
how I was going to like it happen. It felt like just kind of like that. And I say that I learned as much from losing everything as I
Mm.
did from my wins because, like, when you got nothing, like all of the trappings of the successful, savvy, money smart woman, like when those were all gone, I had to just go, first off, I'm still alive. I'm still okay. I'm here. I'm breathing. And I'm still the same person that I was. And so first off, I learned that I was starting to equate my self-worth with all the things that I had created and
Mm.
built.
Mm.
But I had to let go of the circumstances and figure out, like, claim my value just completely aside from the circumstances, because the circumstances were bad. They were ugly. There was no getting over that. So I got to start from scratch all over again. And I realized that learning to believe in myself and my own worth, that was like ground zero.
Wow.
Wow.
Right? We're both like, wow. I know. Do you have a burning question?
I I love how excited you are now about losing everything. I love the fact that you said how you equated your self-worth with the things that you had.
Mm.
Because from an outside perspective looking in, you had it all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had made it.
Yeah. And then it was all gone. I love how you say you had to reclaim or claim your value, because that's so true how we equate our value with what's this thing called net worth? What do you have? And that means you have value and your net worth is high. So I just applaud you. I mean, you haven't even given us all, but what you gave us is just enough. And wow. I can't say anything else other than wow. I know, Reg, you have something to
Well, no,
add
yeah,
to the wow.
we've got some great guests on, watching, and so I'm curious, Kate. It was such a great nugget, and I'm curious to ask the audience who's been watching. How many of you are there right now at this moment, or have been where Kate has said, I'm raising my hand, where we equate our worth,
Mhm.
our value to our physical stuff, right? She's talking about she had her dream house, she had her dream places, and it was like, you made it, Kate. That's what you said. You're like, I arrived, I've made it, I've, got this, I've got that, I'm coaching people, all from materialistic, right? But deep down inside, how many of us, like, seriously, I'd love to know from the audience, feel that way? So I'm curious, like, she gave us a snippet. And so you have this all of a sudden epiphany. You lost everything, including you're dealing with your health issues and being the caregiver to your dad, who's also dealing with a lot of things, moved him in. That's some deep stuff, and that's not easy. And I'm clear many of us can still relate to that to this moment. Lots is happening in the world, and we relate, like all of that. Can you give us this little snippet of like how you, like, what was that thing that shifted? What are those things? What are some of the resources, whatever that is for you, that had you start getting up? So what are some of your own personal tools and resources you use, and what else might you want to share with the audience?
Yeah. Oh, great questions. I had been teaching about how important mindset was. And it was like, oh, I get to practice. I get to figure out what that means, like when your circumstances look so bad. And it was, it was gratitude. It was taking walks. It was just figuring out self-care. It was, it was a huge financial shift because I went from, having money, like I could go to Hawaii or do this or that, or, buy this class or hire that coach. That had seemed really easy for several years. And all of a sudden I'm like, I got $17. How much can I spend on food? And how much do I need to put in the gas tank? Like
Yeah.
it was lean. And, but one shift that happened was just as I was kind of figuring out my new life, because I gave up coaching for a while, even though I knew it was my calling, like, oh, I always wanted to help people who are financially stressed. And God looks down and laughs and says, oh, we have a training program for that. It's called, losing everything. And it made me way more compassionate, because when we're riding high and winning, it's maybe easy to think of all the things you're doing right, and oh, those people just aren't doing it right. And then when you fall, it's like, oh, got it. I get it now, that anybody can fall, that this can happen. Bad circumstances, they can happen to anyone. So it was a lesson in humility. It was a lesson in compassion. And it was a lesson to go back to the basics, mindset and gratitude. And then as I'm figuring out what I'm going to do now for a living, it was like focusing on who you can help and how. And that's when I pivoted into becoming a financial writer. I was working in somebody else's business and helping her build her business through marketing and financial writing. And I mentioned about like believing in myself. Like I mentioned, I was losing my home, and in order to get a rental home, now understand, I got no paycheck stubs because I'm not working a regular job. My credit is trashed. Um, And I have no landlord references because I've been a homeowner for 14 years.
Mm.
And I had to go convince a landlord to rent to me. And that was where, like, I got to believe in myself first. I got to believe that I am going to be the best tenant ever. And then I get someone else to believe that I am the best tenant ever. And then I got the best house ever, literally like the best rental house at the perfect time. I was approved to rent it on the day that I lost my home, that it was sold on the
Wow.
Wow.
sold on the auction block. And so it just felt like this trapeze where it's like, you let go and then, and then, yeah, yay, somebody. Thank you. I got grabbed. My ankle got grabbed. So I didn't, crashed totally to the bottom. And 4 weeks later or whenever it was, we were moving from my dream house that I was losing into a bigger home with a better layout that was closer to my daughter's school at the end of a cul-de-sac. I mean, it was like, it was, it was a dream. It was like the perfect landing place. And even though I had just lost my entire net worth, it was like, okay, it's all good. We got a home, we're going to be okay. And so it was just a radical reframing of what okay meant,
We
like
got some
we're
people
good.
want to share, like right now. We've got Colleen that wrote, hey, I recently downsized from a home to a room and have battled bouts of depression, grieving over the loss of things. So, Kate, your appearance tonight is no coincidence, right? Right? She's been a long time viewer and know her well. And you got Shelby, Sharon, prayerfully, have been never been in that situation, but as far as getting in the mindset of things, equal worth, who hasn't, right? Who has never thought worth equals these things? So, especially with social media, constantly pushing the next best thing, right? So, yeah, thank you, Shelby, for that. That's super, super amazing. And thank you, Colleen, for that. So, perfect timing, right? I, I love it, Kate. What I really heard from you, for me, is one of the taglines I use for myself in my life is um, I'm my own best client.
Mm.
So we all do different coaching, and it is the one thing. So when I'm in those difficult times, right, those circumstances, it is stop, like literally stop doing what I go and coach and do, right, is then going and taking care of me. So my tagline is putting yourself first. And that means I've got to do the self-care. That means I've got to do the work, like you said. Oh, yeah, I'm the coach. And then, like, how can I do that if I'm myself? And so that's what I really heard from you. Like, guys, just taking the time. I don't have to be a coach, like none of it. Tara's saying, I love believing in yourself. Just that little shift. And that's not always easy when you feels like everything is literally being taken away from you. But you've got that work that you've been doing and that mindset work and going for those walks. And belief is an interesting thing. So I'm curious, sis, we've talked about this before. Belief is this kind of like, I don't even know, it's just one of those things that it's something that I'm committed to work on all the time. Believing in myself, believing in the circumstances are made for me, not against me.
Absolutely. You're probably familiar with a guy named Dan Kennedy, or you've heard of him. He's been a marketing guru for a long time. And years ago, he released this book and sent out an email, and it was like a money mindset book. And he said in it, because he had coached with so many, multi millionaires and their businesses. And he said, there's kind of this little secret that what he had noticed that once an entrepreneur has gone through, maybe a bankruptcy or just gone through a business failure or losing it all, like they actually become almost more unstoppable because it's like the worst thing happened and I'm still here. Like, I'm still
Mm.
okay. And so you realize, it was merely a flesh wound, but like I can keep going. I'm just starting over from scratch, in later in life. But it changed my goals as well. Like I thought, originally I had this goal to become a millionaire by the time I was 50. And then there I was, like, 46, 47, and had just lost absolutely everything, and, had no credit or anything. But it started refocusing me, I think, away from net worth and more on, like, what am I loving what I'm doing with my time? And I started, really getting in touch with time is our most important asset. And if we're loving what we're doing, like, we are wealthy in that moment. Doesn't mean that we're not also building up some money,
Right.
uh, but if you don't like what you're doing with your time, it doesn't really matter how many dollars you have in the bank.
But here's the thing, and for me, and what you said, you wrote in your bio, now she's on a mission to change the way we think about wealth, which says to me, and I may be reading a little too deep, what says to me is that prior to you losing everything, you weren't on that mission. You
Mm.
were on a mission to obtain material things,
Yep.
but now that you lost it, it shifted your focus to now being on a mission to help other people. You don't have to focus on your wealth. You're going to get that, whether it is monetary wealth, it fills you up to help others and see others succeed. When others succeed, you do as well. But that wasn't what you had prior to. I feel like now you've got it and it's solidified and this is it. And you had to go through that in order to be able to talk to people about wealth. You had to know what it was to have it, what it was to lose it, and to be on the path to regaining it, just with a slight shift in your thinking.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I mean by that of you know, getting people to, like, rethink how they have wealth is how we relate to money. And it is, I think there's kind of this myth out there, and I hear it a lot in especially, like, mission-driven entrepreneurs, which I know we all are. Is this myth that if I just didn't have to deal with money, my life would be grand. I could just help people and do the things that I'm inspired by, and just but money, we have it sometimes that money is this thing that gets in the way. It's the obstacle between us and the life that we want to live, or it's this thorn in our side. And I think that money actually can be a friend, a teacher, an ally. It can be a tool of transformation, a tool of profound transformation when we let it be that.
Mm.
And when we use it correctly, right? Because as you were talking about that and money and how people see it, what I heard was it's the love of money that's evil. We do need money. It is absolutely necessary. But when that's all you're chasing, you
Yes.
will always be chasing, because when you have, it will never be enough. You'll never just be satisfied. You'll never know what to do with it. But when you are doing it with a different kind of thinking, a different mindset, you know now that the wealth that you have, when you give to others, you get back. That's how I see it. And that's how I think about it all the time.
And I'm going to play a little bit of a devil's advocate, because I love that my very first program that I ran with, like, women friends in my living room, I called it Love Your Money, Love Yourself. And I think one of the reasons I called it that, I have come to the conclusion, and I've never honestly really been somebody who was just chasing the numbers. That's never been me. As a matter of fact, I was prejudiced against people with money for probably the first 25 years of my life, 30 years of my life easily. And then when I was, like, getting ready to become like a single mom, I was like, oh, maybe this money thing is important after all. And then I launched off on this whole different track of let's figure out the money thing because I really need some now. And then went through, the whole financial storm. But I believe that for women, especially, that a lot of us don't love our money enough,
Mm.
that we treat it like it's not all that important. We'll spend it on something on a whim. We won't take care of it. We won't learn how to take care of it. I mean, if you get, like, you can get a guinea pig and you're like, okay, how do we take care of the guinea pig? How do we feed it? How do we keep it healthy? And is the guinea pig okay? But the money's like, woohoo, like, it flies out the window and we're like, where did it go? I don't know. If you have a child, you don't let that child go running around on the streets, at least not when they're young. You want to make sure that they're safe and you look out for them. So I actually think that a lot of women, that we don't love our money enough.
Mm.
Ooh, that's a
So,
nice flip. I love it.
well, yeah.
You do.
In the time that we've got, I want to hear about your book.
Yeah.
I want you to tell us a little bit about Total Wealth, and you have a program, Wealth School for Women and Rewrite My Money Story. I love that title. We want to hear a little about those.
Awesome. Great. I usually have my book in arm's reach. I'm like, what
Oh
did I do with my book?
no,
I see it. It's on the ground. I'm gonna
we can
like do
get
it.
it.
I'm
Go
gonna
get
do
it.
a really
That's
quick
okay. We
little
can
like
fill the airwaves
download.
with our
We
voice,
hear you. We hear you.
and we appreciate you getting it because some
Yes.
people need the visual.
Yep.
I know.
We
Did a
do.
dive here. I co-wrote this was actually part of what I did this when I was doing the financial writing. So I was paid to write it, and I'm really proud of it too. It's called Perpetual Wealth. I don't know if it's backwards or not, but
It's okay.
Mm,
it's a book about generational wealth. I
mm,
spent years. It's juicy. My Kim Butler, my co-author, she's a life insurance expert. So there's a lot in it about creating generational wealth, how to use life insurance, like permanent life insurance, in a generational way. And there's so much too. Like, it blew my mind of I really learned like how wealthy people think about money, and
mm,
I come from middle class family, uh, but it was really different and not how I thought. Even after spending years of studying about wealthy people, I studied to write this book, like how people build up wealth, how they lose it, how families lose it, how not to lose it. I learned that like family communication was the number one thing, that when families lost their wealth, they said that that was the number one reason why, is that the families couldn't communicate. Like, you'd think they'd say, oh, we got bad tax advice or bad financial advice. But I would say the most important thing I learned writing that book is that the truly affluent people, they don't see the dollars in the bank accounts or the brokerage accounts. They don't see the money itself as the real asset. They see that unless they pass down the money along with the knowledge and the skills of how to manage it, how to grow it, uh, the networks, like the people and the confidence, it's going to be gone. It'll be gone in a generation. Like, there's no such thing as I'm going to get so rich that my grandchildren are going to, like, they're going to enjoy the fruits of my labor. No, if you're not educating the generations about how to grow it and manage it themselves, it is just going to be gone. So that was a big aha. And you mentioned I've done a course. I'm not doing it right now, but Rewrite My Money Story, and I love that. It's all about flipping that, how we're relating to money, what money is for us, and I love using journaling and music and all of that kind of stuff, like the personal growth tools to help us rethink money. I'm doing that right now in something I have called the Wealth Alignment Circle. We've kind of taken some of those pieces into there. And then I've just launched Wealth School for Women, which is for women who want to learn investing. That's got a focus on investing. You know, as you mentioned in the introduction, I did double my investments during COVID. I did things in the stock market that I was told were not possible, you know, at least not for newbies. And I was like, wow, I just got fascinated. I fell in love with investing, and I love turning on that light bulb for other women. And by investing, I don't just mean the stock market, because I think that diversification is super important. And when we understand like how all these things work together, and like, oh, there's annuities and there's life insurance and there's cryptocurrency and, you know, there's real estate. And when you start learning how it all can fit together, and then pretty soon, instead of like shopping on Amazon or shopping for clothes or having the money fly out the window and you're not sure where it went, like you're trying to figure out where to get money so you can buy more of that investment that you're excited about. And that's a cool flip when that happens.
So I've got a question. Are you going to have a class on in real estate, on how to invest in real estate?
Yeah, I've been a real estate investor, and that is a piece of Wealth School. That's a piece of Wealth School. It's not like a huge piece. Wealth School for Women, I've described it. It's a little bit like when you go on a cruise ship. You know, I've been on a Mediterranean cruise, and you know, you go to the Bahamas or the Mediterranean, and you get to like go to all these awesome port stops, and you know, you get a really good taste in a day, and you kind of figure out where you want to go back to. That's kind of like Wealth School Women is about all the different ways that we can invest. And I want women to walk away saying like, here's how I want to invest, or maybe these 3 ways, like this is how I want to invest. Because my goal, I would love every woman going through that class to start something that will put an extra 6 figures in their pocket for the future, the women that they are becoming.
Wow.
That is, we could sit here for hours, Kate. I mean, hours. There's so many ways to connect with you guys. You know, make sure that you follow Kate on, you know, Facebook. I've been putting in there an email, and check out Wealth School for Women and YouTube.
And she has a gift.
She does. You got a gift. You want to tell everybody? Because there's a special way. If you want this gift, go for it, Kate.
I do. I've got a special gift. It is a 22-page guide. It is called Breakthrough to Abundance, the 4 reasons you're stressing over money and how to break the cycle forever. And I walk through like my signature, you know, formula, and also more about my story, you know, just the personal story of losing it all. But everyone is going to walk away with something that they can do right now, because
nice.
I might not be able to change how much money's in your bank account in a day, but you can get the perspective in a single day that can change how you feel about money, that can change, you know, the trajectory that you're on.
Awesome. Right. Do we have that link?
How are they getting it?
Oh,
we discussed that, remember, before we came on.
How are they getting it?
All right, Kate forgot. That's what happens when 35 minutes go by. This is how you're going to get it, because posting it here if you want Kate's 22-page. That's a free book, guys, of everything that you want. Please, right now, throw in, I want it. Start typing in, I want that free guide. Put it in right now, because Raquel and I read all of those comments. So Sharon, I see that you're here. All right, Camille already wrote it. She's like, I love the gift. She's ready to go. Anybody else who wants that free guide, write to us right now. I want.
Where are they writing?
Right in the comments right now. Writing in the comments. We got people
so you better hurry up, y'all.
Hurry up. And I did promise. Yep, I got Chrissy, everybody writing in, and I did say for tonight for Kate because it's so much. I got, oh my God, people writing in left and right. You guys are so lucky, so
Woo.
lucky. So keep them writing it, and I get some other people. You guys know how to reach me, so make it happen before we say goodbye. This is awesome, Kate. Go ahead, Brock. Say what you need to
Kate, you
say.
are absolutely amazing. If
Yeah.
there is one thing that you can leave our audience with tonight to get them started, let's say to get them started,
Mm.
what would that one thing be? What would you want to share?
You know, we talked about a question earlier and about having it all, and I had a couple minutes to think about that. Oprah, of course, says you can have it all, just not all at once. But
Mm,
I would say the most important thing is to not tell yourself that you're going to arrive when you have a certain level of income, a certain level of net worth, like when I'm a millionaire or multimillionaire, then life will be good. Like, look at how you can have it all right now with the dollars you have, with the dollars you don't have. Like, start out being grateful, and then literally like use that guide that I have to figure out what your next step is. It might be strategy, it might be working on mindset, but just start with looking at, like, how can I have the greatest life right now with just right where I am? Because that's where it all starts. Is literally, I think that self-love is the foundation of abundance. And when we start with self-love and gratitude, then we figure out our next steps.
awesome. So let me break this down for y'all. Write in the comments, I want the free guide, because that's where you're going to start. You're going to start right where you are. Kate is giving away an amazing free gift, but it's more than that. It's something that's going to last you a lifetime because you may need to go back to it a couple of times. So write in the comment, I want the free gift. Start where you are right now. Get this journal. This, I called it a journal.
It
Get
is like a journal.
the gift, the 22-page gift. It is a book. Get it right now. Let's not delay. Let's not let our feelings get in the way, and the fact that, oh my gosh, if I get that, does that mean I don't have money? You don't have money. It's okay. Just get the journal. We'll talk about how to get some more, and not just the dollar amount. Don't look at the dollar amount. Okay? I want to thank you. We want to thank you, Kate, so much for being here and taking time out of your busy schedule. We absolutely, absolutely enjoyed it. You dropped some golden platinum nuggets on us, and we truly appreciate it. And thank you for sharing with our audience information, because that's what helps us to get educated. So thank you for sharing your book with us, and get in touch with Kate, get into one of her classes, and learn about money and what it really means. Can we do that? Yes. And also, thank you, audience, for supporting us. We are at episode 102. We so appreciate you. We do not take it for granted that you're here every single week. And this is the second week that you've gotten something, right? Didn't we get something free and now another free? Love it. Thank our guest. She is amazing. Kate, thank you so much. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, together we can rise and thrive. Till next time.